Alrighty, got another exam 4 video for you. So we're doing question 9. So word problem. A rock is projected into the air. The distance in feet above the ground after t second is given by s of t equals negative 16t squared plus 64, plus 64t plus 32. How many seconds does it take for the rock to hit the ground? And use any method to solve this problem. So to solve this, we got to set this to 0. Why, you may ask? Well, you're asking for it to hit the ground. If t equals time, the time to hit the ground after it's in movement is 0. So it has to stop completely. So now that being said, we actually solve this equation now. So first off, we can obviously do a couple of things here. The way it's already given, we can go ahead and do AC method, but I'm going to tackle this using factoring, the quadratic formula. And we'll maybe do this down the line, and we can see if we can use other formulas as well. But first things first, we can go ahead and factor this whole thing out by negative 16. So that would give us t squared minus 4t minus 2 equals 0. And now this is much more easier to deal with. Obviously, we go the direction of AC here, or we can go ahead and plug in the quadratic formula now that we have a little bit easier numbers to work with. So we're going to do that. So negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So plugging that in, it would look like this. Negative 4 plus or minus square roots of negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 2 all over 2 times 1. So simplifying that, we get 4, actually let me write this a little smaller, 4 plus or minus, that'd be 16, because of the negative parentheses and negative and positive, and even exponent, minus, right? We're gonna get that undefined for now, actually, as we're gonna solve this first. So this becomes negative 4 times negative 2, which equals positive 8. So this would be plus 8 all over 2a. So pretty cool, important to note. So that's going to look like 4 plus or minus square root of 24. So, and all over 2. So this is not a perfect square. This is not break down to a nice number. But what we can actually do is split this up into some more nicer numbers. So we can actually do that via prime factoring. So if we were to do that, we take our 24, we break it into pairs. So this would be 2, this would be 12, this would be 4, this would be 3, and this would be 2 and 2 again. You'd keep this 2, you take out one of the pairs, just one of the numbers, so there'll only be 1 2 left over, and that goes on the outside of your square root. Inside the radicand, or inside the square root, is going to be the result of these two prime numbers, 2 and 3, so 6. So it would actually look like 4 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 6 all over 2. Let's move this over here so I have more room to work. Plus or minus 2 times square root of 6 all over 2. We can go ahead and actually simplify this real quick. We can divide this whole thing by 2. This would remove this one and this one. That would give you 4 plus or minus the square root of 6. Oh, actually, my bad. That also simplified this into 2. This will not affect anything inside the square root, but everything outside of it will. So this would actually give you 2 plus or minus the square root of 6. Now, it can't be minus because it can't be negative time, right? So this 6 has to be somewhere between the perfect squares of 4 and 9, right? So 2 minus somewhere between that is going to be a negative number, right? Behind the space of the square root of 9 is 3. So if it's minus 3, it's going to be negative, and if it's minus itself, it's going to be negative, right? Or minus 2, it's going to be 0. So it has to be a positive value. Hope that kind of made sense. So it's going to be 2 plus the square root of 6. So that means our final thing, it will take, let me erase this button once we do that. Our final answer is it will take 2 plus the square root of 6 to hit the ground. So important things to note about this problem, how we set it up in the first place, knowing that when it's 0, that's 0 seconds and it's completely done, it hits the ground. How to use a quadratic formula, how to simplify a square root into simpler forms by doing prime factorization method, how to then simplify that using a fraction. Remember, when you're dividing and simplifying, it affects everything except anything, say the square root. And then finally, understanding that you want a positive value because obviously time can't be negative. And that's it. Thanks.